Green Light On Racing and Sport podcast heading towards this year's Cranbourne Cup at Sandown Park, the 2025 edition. This little mini-series to cover the heats, and we will be covering the final as well. Looking forward to this episode in particular. Obviously, the Cranbourne Cup being ran at Sandown has for the last few years. We're going to catch up with club manager in just a moment, Andrew Fennell, to find out what's going on with Cranbourne and when we can expect to see racing back there. I'm going to wind the clock back and pick out my favourite Cranbourne Cup, and it's from about 20 years ago, a greyhound that absolutely flew. It's a race that I reckon has one of the all-time great honour rolls for a country cup. So all that and more, 5 heats of the Cranbourne Cup at Sandown on Thursday, and hopefully we'll pull apart those races and find a few winners in the big race preview. But right now, I am joined hot off the top by the club manager of the Cranbourne Greyhound Racing Club, Mr. Andrew Fennell, who is sitting there in a building I haven't seen for some time, Andrew, there at the Cranbourne Dogs. How are you, mate?
Thanks, James. Good. Yeah, not many visitors in the last couple of years to the building, unfortunately, but we will be welcoming him back next year.
Hey, this is big news. Now, this is the main reason I wanted to chat to you, because in the racing industry, I go to a lot of tracks and people are saying this Cranbourne next year, year after, maybe later on, who knows. I thought I'm going to get straight to the main man at the Cranbourne Greyhound Racing Club, and I'm going to find out exactly what's going on there. It's been 4 years since the Cup was run at Cranbourne, last won by Koblenz in 2021. I think it was no Cup in 2022 and then a couple at Sandown. I think this is the third running this year. What's the movement at the moment, and have we got a track locked in, and when do you expect racing to come back to the great venue? Because it's a real heartland for greyhound trainers, Cranbourne.
It is, James. It's a big area and it's critical to get racing back. I can tell you there is dirt everywhere. We have big trucks moving a lot of soil around, which is great to see. For those interested, if you head to Trios, you get a great view of what's going on across the track. We have a shape. So the trucks have outlined a bit of a track, and they've done a site cut. So we're early in the project, but we are moving along nicely. Next year, we believe at the moment, middle of July is when we're looking to finish up and have a track ready for what will be essentially trialling to start off with before we go racing. We're hoping to be racing a few months after that, mid-July sort of handover. So I'm planning on having the Cranbourne Cup at Cranbourne next year.
Hey, I think that's welcome news to a lot of people, and I'm sure it is for you too. Obviously, sitting there with no racetrack for the last couple of years, but obviously some pretty exciting times. Tell me something about this track. I've heard a few people saying this, a few people saying that about the track shape itself, but is it based on another track here in Victoria, or have they gone with something completely new?
Nah, look, we went with we had some restrictions obviously around inside the harness track, so we had to design something that could fit comfortably. We obviously wanted to make it a little bit bigger, and we've gone with a bigger one turn, so it's very similar to a Horsham style track. And when I was talking to trainers back when we were looking at designs, if you ask a lot of trainers, Horsham, from purely a performance racing point of view, most trainers love that track. It's a fair track. Dogs can run and win from any distance, any box. So it's quite a good design. Trainers enjoy it, and we're going to have one in Cranbourne. It's going to have some tweaks on it, obviously, to fit in between the harness tracks, obviously, within the scope of that. But yeah, if people think of Horsham, it'll be quite similar to that.
And mate, with the brand new track, if it's going to be shaped like Horsham, how many distances are we expecting are going to be in use?
Yeah, we got 3 permanents, and we'll have a roll on. So we'll go 330, 420 and 480 will be our permanent boxes. And then we're going to install the provision for a 650 roll on. So all the infrastructure will be built around a 650 distance. Could be 660. We're just working out the placement of a few light poles at the moment, but there will be a distance there, but it won't be a permanent structure because it'll come off the front straight, obviously.
Mate, I don't think that the trainers are too worried about the distances. I think it's just welcome news that racing is returning to Cranbourne. As I said, it's a real heartland for greyhound traders. Tell me something I don't know about this build, I suppose. Is there something unique about this place that people wouldn't know out there?
Oh, look, in terms of what the build will end up, that'll be pretty straightforward. But what people don't know is probably just how much cabling and bits and pieces we're digging up while trying to get it ready. Um, we've found no end of old cabling. I mean, our track was around 50 years. Harness and thoroughbreds have been around even longer. The amount of infrastructure under the ground is just amazing, and the cabling we keep digging up is unbelievable. So people wouldn't realise just how much you end up finding under the ground in terms of that cabling.
Mate, it's a club with such a rich history in greyhound racing. I wanted to wind the clock back and just do a little bit of a flashback segment, I guess you could say, and pick out our favourite cup winners in years gone by. And for me, I had to wind the clock back to the early 2000s, a dog called POROROCA. And we're showing that replay now. Jumped from box number 1, held up at the first corner, and just launches down the back straight, breaks the track record, wins like the most impressive bloody dog I've ever seen. I reckon this would have to be one of the all-time great wins, let alone in a race like the Cranbourne Cup. It was a phenomenal performance, and I've been involved in greyhound racing a long time, and I listen to a lot of people who have been involved even longer than me, and they all say this dog, POROROCA, was something very, very special. So for me, that's my favourite Cranbourne Cup going through the replays. What about you? Is there a one that stands out being the manager down at Cranbourne?
Yeah, look, for me, and Paul, you're right, POROROCA, fantastic. There's a photo in the office here of that win, and people still talk about that. Koblenz, for me, 2021, a bit more recent, went on to then win the Melbourne Cup a couple of weeks later. So that for me was a standout. But when you do look at the winners of the Cranbourne Cup, the honour roll is amazing. You go back, you don't have to go back that far, but you've got Vapor Whirl, National Star. People will talk about National Star for a long, long time.
Back-to-back wins in the Cranbourne Cup, National Star, 1984, 1985. Were you a greyhound racing enthusiast back then, Andrew? Because I wasn't born yet, so you need to tell me about that.
I was born then. I wasn't too much into my racing then.
Yeah.
My love for the racing developed later, but you talk about Orson Allen, Jax Bale, often imitated. Sorry, Vincent Bale last year was a great run. Alpha Zulu. I mean, yeah, the history of the dogs that then go on and win a number of other races too is fantastic.
And mate, before we move on to having a quick look at who you think might be winning this year's Cranbourne Cup. Was it an easy decision to be able to organise to run the Cranbourne Cup at Sandown so we could keep the Cranbourne Greyhound Racing Club in lights? Was that an easy decision to get over the line?
It is. It was, yeah. To me, I mean, a lot of people do question why you run it at another venue. At the time, we obviously didn't expect to be down from racing for so long, but you do have to race. You've got to keep your place. The calendar's quite busy. In these last couple of years, everyone's looking for a spot to put on a race. So it's important to keep our little spot in October, which I think is a fantastic time frame, but it's also important to keep Cranbourne in the eyes of trainers and people watching at home and punting, etc. It's important to show that, yeah, Cranbourne wasn't going anywhere. We'll rebuild the track and we'll get back to racing. So I think that's important to show that, Cranbourne Cup's important enough to run every year.
Yeah, 100%. And it's been a big road, I reckon, but it's a journey that I think is going to be well and truly worth taking as we count down to the return, hopefully, of the Cranbourne Cup at Cranbourne next year. This year's edition, 5 heats. It's a tricky time of year. So much good racing. Obviously, the Great Chase Grand Final, $1 Million Chase, Adelaide Cup, Bendigo Cup last week. And 5 heats of the Cranbourne Cup this year. Dr. Asher, the Bendigo Cup champ, who looked, I can tell you now, I was up there at Bendigo, Andrew, and he looked like a beast winning that race.
Yep.
Is there one or two that you like throughout the heats that you think might be able to go all of the way this year?
Yeah, look, form is up and down a little bit for some of our runners. When you look through, I mean, you've got some tried and tested. Lakeview Emily always pushes in the Cranbourne Cup Heats, has been really unlucky in the last few years. Mapunga Tully, Flying Zulu, they've been running for a while now and know how to, when push comes to shove, they know when to step it up in the heat. So you expect them to be around the mark. You're right, Dr. Asher is probably going to be high up there for the punters. So for me, yeah, Vincent Bale last year, not a surprise winner, but certainly a good winner, and wouldn't be out of the running for this year's Cup, even though probably form recently hasn't had too much success. But so hard to pick one, to be honest, James.
It's an open series. It's open.
If I had to put my money on a few, I'd be struggling there. But there certainly are a handful of, or more than a handful. We haven't even touched on some of the others, but some really good dogs, which you'll go through in your preview right throughout. So
100%. We are going to go runner by runner in the big race preview. When I say we, it'll just be me, myself and I really trying to delve in and find a winner. But just as we wrap your section here on the podcast, mate, why should people get to the Cranbourne Cup this year? Not this Thursday, next week. They can roll into Sandown Park for the heats this week if they want. But last year we had Billy Brownless. It was a really bloody fun night. I am seed, mate, and I don't know why you paid me because I had that much fun. I should be paying you. It was that good. So what's the plan this year?
Yeah, well, you're back again, James,
Bang.
which is great.
Yes.
From our point of view. We love having you there. We have Nick Watson, the Wiz.
Oh, the Wizard.
This year. Yeah,
All
he's
the Hawks
coming down.
fans.
So we're gonna have a kick for cash competition. So we'll draw some winners out, and they'll have an opportunity to show their footy skills. And we have plenty of entertainment, as you know. These nights, even though they're not at our home venue, we try to put on a great night for all the punters who turn up. So we'll have the music, we'll have guest speakers. The room looks fantastic. There's a great atmosphere around. The racing's fantastic. We've got the Victoria Cup will be run as a final on the night as well. That's got a long history in distance racing finals. So yeah, people should come down. It's a great night. You get to meet plenty of people, and the atmosphere is just fantastic around, and it really does kick off the whole carnival for spring.
Big race preview. Big race preview time on the Green Light on Racing and Sport podcast. 5 heats of the Cranbourne Cup this Thursday night. We're going to sift through them race by race. Hopefully, in order to try and find a few winners out of the 5 heats. 5 would be nice, but Meatloaf once said 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So maybe 3 out of 5 will be a pass mark here. Commencing with the first of the heats, race 5, Sportsbet Cranbourne Cup Heat 1. Field up now, Ethanol Secret's drawn the red, Poor Vince in 2, Spring Regency 3, Poor Vortex 4, Stomping 5, 6 Dr. Asher, 7 Vista Weird, 8 Come to Party, 9 Whatever Tess, no reserve number 10. I think it'd be wrong to not start with Dr. Asher and what this dog did in the Bendigo Cup. He's been racing so consistently, deserved to claim a big prize, and he got that in the Bendigo Cup with a really powerful win. Once he lobbed behind Bless Rain, he was always going to win the race, but he motored to the line. His run home was extraordinary. So based on that form line, he's clearly going to be a genuine contender here. Stomping in box 5, last start sprint winner at the Meadows, 29.65. He's a greyhound that can race 5 and 600. And he's one of a few greyhounds that can drop back from 600 and still show that burn over 500 metres. Did that last start. Ethanol Secret, Poor Vince drawn down low. They're not quick beginners. So it's an intriguing race. I think the pace comes from the middle. Spring Regency, Poor Vortex, Stomping, and Dr. Asher. My heart says have something each way on Dr. Asher just because he's a winning machine. He fronts up. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. Stomping's obviously a big threat. But my brain is telling me 3 starts ago, Spring Regency, if it wasn't for Lakeview Emily, goes through to lead that race. ends up running a really handy fourth, beaten 3 1/4 in 29.28. Clearly lost a couple of lengths at the first corner. So I think Spring Regency is the each way play at value here. Is going to be a big price. I think definitely worth something small each way. Race 5, number 3. On to the second heat of the Cranbourne Cup field, starting with 1 Urana Xavier, 2 Nigel De Vere, 3 Giacomo, 4 Cheeky Chompers, 5 POROROCA, 6 Sipping Gatsby, 7 is Paul Whitley, 8 Slick Splits, and 9 whatever Tess, again, no reserve, number 10. Interesting race. Really hard to sit down and do the form for a race like this because 2 of the more moderate beginners have drawn 1 and 2, Urana Xavier, Nigel De Vere. And when I say moderate, Nigel De Vere went 29.11 here last start off a 5.04. 2 starts ago at the Meadows, showed speed to go 5.07. So I just don't know if he's consistent enough to do it on the regular, but I am going to tip him here based on the fact you can only go off the most recent form, and he looks to have come back really good this campaign, Nigel De Vere. He's always been super quick. I just think from box number 2, he puts himself into the race. If he can cross Urana Xavier at the start, that's the ideal, the optimum result. He's going to have to hold the pressure of Giacomo, who's going to come out fast, and Paul Whitley's the other one with great speed. And, well, don't underestimate Slick Splits. You know what he's capable of. His heat win at Bendigo was huge. He just had no luck in that cup final from a sticky draw. So, for what it's worth, Urana Xavier's on the comeback. He gets the good draw, looking to make it 3 on the bounce. It's his 4th run back from a spell, so maybe he's peaking, but I just think Nigel De Vere, if he can step like he has in his last 2, I think he can be very hard to beat. Race number 7, heat number 3. Shimmer Times off the red, Dishevelled box 2, 3 Colac Kid, 4 Vincent Bale, 5 Kanya Mayhem, 6 Ross the Boss, 7 Poor Ultra, 8 Bagman. What do you say here? It's another tricky race, really. They're interesting, they're intriguing, they're pretty level match, the Cranbourne Cup Heats. Shimmer Time, I reckon, has the speed, immediate speed to go through and lead. I'm not sure he's going to be there when the whips are cracking. Dishevelled's not an overly quick beginner. Colac Kid, he's a reliable beginner, but he's not quick. He's just consistent. Vincent Bale's a slow beginner. His run last week was absolutely enormous. It just got me thinking maybe the Big V is back to his best, Vincent Bale, which is a scary thought for his rivals. Kanya Mayhem's done nothing wrong. 2 straight wins at Sandown. Ross the Boss has speed in 6. Poor Ultra's been stepping well. I'm not sure if he'll be able to do that from 7. And Bagman, well, how could we forget that head-to-head match race he had with Explicit not too long ago? So he's definitely right up to the class of a race like this. For what it's worth, I'm leaning slightly to Vincent Bale. I'd marked Kanya Mayhem, I'd marked Bagman, and I'd also marked Vincent Bale. But I'm sticking with the Big V. His run last start to Kanya Mayhem, it was just a flashback for Vincent Bale, proving that I reckon he's on the right path to get back to his best. So happy to be with him. Race 8, Heat 4 of the Sportsbet Cranbourne Cup. Interesting race again. Box 1, Mapunga Tully, 2, Poor Fabian, 3, Lakeview Emily, 4, Ascender Static, 5, Zelda Cavilla, 6, Poor Petrov, 7, Quillen Bale, 8, Keep Rolling. Lakeview Emily. She's been thereabouts. Her last couple of starts, 3 back at Sandown. She dominated with that 4.98 to the first peg. That's what she needs to do. She needs to hit the start. She needs to get to the front early where she's not being caught up in the ruck through the first corner and having to work. And if she does that, she's going to be mighty hard to beat. I'm leaning to Mapunga Tully. Now, I don't know why, because she's probably going to be underdone, but if she can find her way through this heat, qualify for the final, you know you're going to get a better version of her 7 days later in the Cranbourne Cup final. So maybe it's more of an all-in play with Mapunga Tully, but look, Lakeview Emily, this is probably the right race for her to cross, lead, and get it her own way. If Mapunga Tully can just push through and get into a good place, I think she's a big chance of making it through to the final. And I guess the other runner to put into the speed maps early is Quillen Bale, drawn 7, has enough speed that he might be able to, or she might be able to apply pressure to Lakeview Emily, and maybe that just opens the inside for Mapunga Tully to come charging through. Anyway, I'm with Mapunga Tully. I think she's an each-way play and maybe an all-in play because I think she will improve on whatever she does on Thursday night. Race number 9, heat number 5 of the Cranbourne Cup at Sandown Park at 9:49 on Thursday. Box 1, Mr. Consistent, that's Werris Bale, Mr. Versatile, you could call him. Trendy Tommy, an up-and-comer, drawn 2. Flying Zulu, 3. Tribeca into 4. Delicious is drawn 5. Valenzuela, 6. Wyong Dallas, 7. Led up in a semi of the $1 Million Chase last start. Paul Kwan is out in box number 8. obviously Flying Zulu, he's got the runs on the board. You know what you're going to get with him. He's a champ, really. He's won 31 of 69, over $1 million in the bank. You've got Tribeca, who I've got a lot of time for. I reckon he's a genuine Melbourne Cup chance coming into this spring carnival. He's a greyhound when he gets it right. He wants to go to the rail pretty hard, but he's got elite speed, elite mid-race, and I reckon the last month or two he started to show a little bit of a third string to his bow, which is the strength at the end, which is vital if he's going to be winning a big race. So I'm leaning to the 4 Tribeca. He's just got to try and punch through, beat the inside 3 out, which I think he can. Obviously, Flying Zulu is going to be the hardest dog to get past underneath of him, and Wyong Dallas is going to be applying the heat from the outside. So that's where he's going to win or lose the race. I think if he doesn't cross Flying Zulu wins the heat. If he can get across at the first corner, take Flying Zulu, take the lead, and if he's in front leading Wyong Dallas, I reckon it's game, set, match from there for Tribeca. So he might just need to get it right at the start, but I think he can, and I think he's a greyhound worth following, race 9, number 4. Well, that's the 5 heats of this year's Cranbourne Cup. It's sure to be keenly contested racing. Good luck, safe travelling, happy punting. We'll catch you next week on the podcast for the Cranbourne Cup final. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.